Markets are trying to edge out a winning week. So let's take a look at what's going on here. It's early in the day today. I have some stuff this afternoon. So usually I make the end of the day, end of the market updates, but today we're going to start off early. The Dow's been down a little bit this morning, up as much as 100 points, back to about to even now. S&P and NASDAQ kind of following suit. Market just trying to digest a stronger economy, the inflation measure easing a little bit while consumer spending declined. And what is the Fed's response going to be to everything with a still tight job market, with the economy growing and with consumer spending kind of in line? And of course, the economy growing is a lot of that's inflation. Prices are higher, so you're going to get, sales are going to be up, and growth is going to be up with inflation. So obviously the Fed's going to look at all that. And right now it still looks like we haven't heard anything, leaks or anything like that, or telegraphing that it's going to be anything other than a 25 basis point rate hike. So the market is kind of expecting that. The market is looking at a little bit of easing inflation and celebrating that in terms of the Fed being able to stop the interest rate hikes and being at neutral as inflation continues to come down. But inflation is still way too high, still not above, or the Fed funds rate is still not above inflation, which is where it really needs to be for the Fed to stop and end the day. And to sum up the Bitcoin action we've seen lately, right here on Cointelegraph, why is Bitcoin price up today? Why is Bitcoin price down today? So it's been up and down for Bitcoin as it continues to hang into this range here, and potentially check this with the momentum that we have in the markets right now. And especially if the Fed only does a 25 basis point rate hike, you could potentially see a pop up here to that 25,000 range before any kind of a reversal and a retracement that is most likely going to come in at some point, because this still isn't full bull market conditions right now. Financial conditions have eased considerably. So the Fed, they could come out with 50 basis points because of that reason, because the economy is showing growth, the labor market is still tight, and financial conditions have eased significantly. So, which is the flow of liquidity. So the Fed may go 50 basis points, but right now, all bets are 25. Most people think that 25% or 25 points is what they're most likely going to be doing. So, here's Bitcoin right here, just kind of continuing to consolidate, slowly kind of rising in this range with a potential pop up to that 25K. And of course, a lot of this is still shorts, and a lot of this is, spoofing and manipulation. This isn't just general, organic retail investor price action here. A lot of this is manufactured to kind of draw people in and get you sucked in and buying. And I know a lot of people have been feeling the FOMO lately with this right here. And, but what could be realistic and likely is that, obviously this has been a range here that Bitcoin was in for a long time, in that, 17.5, 18,000 to 20,000-ish range. So Bitcoin could play in that range for a while, unless something happens to, cause a drastic sell-off in traditional markets as well, then Bitcoin will follow suit. Here's the Dow continuing on this trend, albeit still declining in this area, but staying above the trend line. And if we put the moving averages on, still well above the 200-day moving average. Let's go back to Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin is above that 200-day, which it has not been able to do. If we go to the weekly, Bitcoin is rejecting on the 200 weekly, excuse me, the 200 weekly moving average. So if Bitcoin cannot get above that with this cross coming, we don't know what that means for the markets, but because it's never had one, 50-week, 200-week moving average cross, which is coming. But if Bitcoin rejects here and does not get above that 200-week moving average, that could be bad. Obviously potential retest of this 15,000 plus low here. With the traditional markets, this moving average cross is kind of leveling off a little bit with the recent price action. NASDAQ a little bit closer above the 200-week, Dow Jones above the 200-week, S&P above the 200-week. So everything's above the 200-week and the 200-day across the board. The question is, will that continue? And what will that do to price action again on the daily? Everybody, all the averages are above major trends right now and above major moving averages. So nice little rally overall here. Let's take a look at the VIX, diving down to these levels where that's always presented a big market reversal, especially with the Fed rate hike. So even though the Fed is reducing the pace of rate hikes and the amount of rate hikes, they're still hiking rates. So the market could very well just be building momentum into that and then full on reverse right back here, after the Fed meeting next week, because the Fed is going to come out and they're going to want to talk these markets down because financial conditions have eased quite a bit. So the Fed is not going to be very happy about the price action we've seen in the markets and the financial conditions. So they're going to come out and they're going to talk markets down like they've done. So we might see a reversal. You can see the 10-year climbing, Dixie finding support. Like I said, this area here, that last line of defense of support for the Dixie right now. 10-year, same thing, finding support in this major trend area, testing this trend. These are the things in the condition I'm looking at. As always, you want to watch the market into the close. That's where you're going to find what investors are really, thinking and feeling. The momentum into the close is always important, kind of setting things up for next week, going into the Fed week. Next week is Fed week. Yes, next week is going to be the Fed meeting and their decision. And then again, the comments are what's important when Jerome Powell comes out, and he's going to talk higher for longer. All of the other Fed members are going to talk higher for longer because inflation is still too high, even though it seems to have plateaued and coming back a little bit. We know that a few things are still a little high, and gas and energy prices and things like that. Rents in some areas coming down, other areas still going up. So there's still a lot of work to do. But the biggest issue is that labor market that we've been talking about. So that's what I'm looking at for today. This channel, again, if you're new to the channel, I keep comments off because there's too many spam bots and all that stuff. It seems like Facebook's gotten really bad with them as well, with imitation accounts and things like that. So be careful out there and watch out for those. And this channel is all about entrepreneurship, real estate investing and development, markets, crypto. I talk about all that kind of stuff, leadership, mindset. I'm going to do a couple of videos to put out over the weekend on my story of how I started a company from scratch with absolutely nothing. I started with nothing. I had no formal education, went in the Navy right out of high school, and built my first company. It was went from 0 to 30 million, sold that, reinvested those profits into other assets, and started 7 other companies along the way during that 7-year period, as well as doing a lot of stuff in the community and still being home every night for dinner, had a very balanced life, all of those types of things. So I'm going to talk about how I did all of that starting from absolutely nothing, and how I still maintained a balanced life and, did hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate deals along the way, all during that 7-year period. So, and that was when I was 29 years old. And so anyways, I'm going to make a video on that, kind of share that story, put that out over the weekend. And then I have another one on my health journey where, I'm 6'1", my fighting weight is 165. I'd gotten up to 240 pounds and decided to change my life. I was a lifelong smoker, and in 2004, I decided to make a life change. I quit smoking, lost weight at the same time. So I'm going to share that journey, what I did, and how I've kept it off all those years and maintained a healthy lifestyle. And at 55, I'm in just as good, if not better shape than I was back then. I was a little stronger back then, but still in pretty decent shape. And so I'm going to share that story, that journey as well. Put a little something out on Twitter, and a lot of people have asked for a video and they want to hear the story. And hopefully what I will be sharing will help you in your journey for whatever that is that you're doing. And until then, these are the things I'm looking at. I'll see you in the next video.